Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I am your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelist Bradley Ellis.
Hi.
My awesome co-moderator, Mr. Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And making it all happen by starting the Zoom call in Slack, Ian Hink.
Salutations.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Oh.
We're here to talk about gaming news. But before we do that, we're done with that.
Full time.
The latest headlines in the news of video games. But before we do that, we have to atone for all the mistakes we made last week. Ian, please begin corrections music. The one who walked out on stage during the PC gaming show and showed off a video card that was in a briefcase wasn't a guy. It was AMD CEO Lisa Su. You know, when you say guy, just some guy. The film Joseph Ferris was talking about and showed some footage from in his segment was Zozo, which he made in 2005. So that's an old movie.
Okay, yeah, I thought he said he made them before, but...
So that was my bad. Japan-only version of Pokemon Stadium was the first ever Pokemon game released for a console. Pokemon Snap was the first Pokemon game released on a console outside of Japan. Brad was correct in that Pokemon Snap came out in the US before the US got an updated version of Pokemon Stadium. Sanzaru was purchased by Oculus a few months ago, so they can't make a new Sly Cooper. And DC Comics is part of AT&T. AT&T also owns DC Comics, but they are not selling the rights to stuff. So the point I was making is that if anybody buys Rocksteady, there's no guarantee they can potentially make another Batman game.
Got it.
Because then they would have to get AT&T on the phone to be like, hey, that Batman license, where they wouldn't be purchasing that, but did not specify that part of it, and corrections music.
Boop.
I'm happy with that amount.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I'll take that moving forward. I gotta be honest. I did pick both of these for Ben Moore, who will not be joining us for this podcast. Gaming Gladiators is going into its final rounds, and I can't tell. Probably go with the more generic one, because that one I'm definitely gonna save for Ben. So whether Abdullah, whether you are around next week or not, I'm gonna be using that one. But James Vest gave us Ryu versus Sub-Zero, which I think is really important.
Ooh.
I think is so big and just chunky. That's the chunky peanut butter right there. I don't know. Some of these big headline ones I've pitched lately have gone by so fast, where I don't know.
I feel like
Sub-Zero's got some supernatural vibes, but Ryu
has some magic powers too. I feel like Sub-Zero has a slight edge, just because he's like way more brutal.
Sure. I mean, he's got the ice, but
Yeah.
Ryu can pull those out fast enough that I think he might be able to counter, and I think they could probably be hot enough to like keep going.
Yeah.
maybe.
Ryu's not pulling out spines though, and doing nasty stuff like that.
Here's what I'll say when it gets down fist to fist. You've seen those X-ray moves in Mortal Kombat games, how brutal they are. Sub-Zero could take a few of those hits. Ryu could not take a hit like that. He will be dead.
Yeah.
So I think Sub-Zero would win.
The look on one fighter's face in Street Fighter, if it's somebody else,
Like,
Zangief just smashed somebody's arm in half. They're like, dude.
I love Ryu, but I think Sub-Zero would win.
All right.
Maybe.
He's like, this is a street fight, man. Cool it.
Yeah.
We got a doozy of a news story in Mixer closing operations and transitioning it to Facebook gaming that I absolutely had to start with, because I think we were all kind of shocked about this at Easy Allies, but I don't recall having extensive conversations about this following that. We were all just like, well, that happens, but what is this? How emotionally where are we at with, I guess maybe Facebook first of all, but this happening so suddenly before I get into specifics?
I mean, I was like, whoa, because they just spent a ton of money getting streamers over on their platform.
Right, yeah.
Millions and millions and millions and millions. We're on a new console is coming out soon. They could do a whole new marketing thing for Mixer, I guess. But it's just kind of like, whoa, Microsoft's backing out after dumping all that cash in there.
And those streamers, by the way, just made out like bandits. They had the option to get picked up by Facebook, said no. Mixer just had to buy them out, and now they just have millions of dollars that can do whatever they want.
I think Ninja made like 20 or 30 million.
30,
I think he got
saw?
30.
Yeah. It's like for 10 months, dude?
Yeah.
Good God.
Good deal for Ninja.
And they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they can do what the hell they want.
because they can, are we going to care about this after the new consoles launch? Like, is this going to be something we're going to remember? Like, oh yeah, Mixer, or is like, are we just going to be bombarded with Facebook gaming trying to like? You thought we were like just throwing Mixer at you. Wait until you hear about Facebook.
That's
gaming.
the thing. Is like when Ninja got on the Mixer, like you just turn your Xbox on and there's the Ninja's logo and everything, you know. And so it's going to be heavily pushed, particularly with the money that both of those brands have. You know, because before, you know, like Microsoft buying Mixer, like it was all Microsoft. Now Microsoft and Facebook are going to be together pushing. But, you know, I was more bothered by the average streamer, you know, people that don't have these giant contracts and, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, go over to Facebook gaming. And I'm like, that's a whole nother ecosystem, you know, and it's like, you know, it's someone like, it's basically an eviction notice, right? Like all of a sudden you've got to leave and you don't have any idea if people are going to follow you. You have no idea, like, if there's money to be made over here. You have no idea, you know, and particularly at this time when I think, like, there's a fair number of people who have probably picked this up as a way to make money from losing a job. It's a rough blow. It's kind of crazy.
Facebook is a bloated and heavy and kind of weird labyrinthian platform as it is, and like
cool. I was looking to define it. I think you nailed it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, like the video player is poor. The way it like does link outs to stuff is just annoying and very old internet. Like I don't have a huge amount of experience with live streamed stuff on it, but I don't imagine it's great. So like this thing, I assume, is just dead. Like it's just gone. Like it's gonna fail. They're gonna keep putting money into it, but it's not going to be good. Maybe I'll be wrong, but like...
Yeah, like how many Facebook gaming ads am I going to see during the Game Awards is kind of what I'm wondering. You know,
sure.
It's just like how desperate are they?
I think
is this a sign
like,
of mass desperation, a huge push, or is this a sign, that they're just like going to...
But also, like, we saw a bunch of stuff like that for Mixer, and it clearly didn't work. So everyone who didn't care about Mixer will continue to not care and probably get angrier about Facebook gaming. I don't know. I don't see this panning out well, but who knows?
This is crazy sudden. It was interesting just, searching Mixer at a lot of, magazines and papers and stuff on their websites. And you just see this, lineup of stories, and just none of them seem to point at all of a sudden them, the other day just dropping this bomb on everybody. But it was extremely sudden. A lot of people across the board are very frustrated. Phil Spencer put himself out there and put a post that I read before anything else. I will quote the man now. Ultimately, the success of partners and streamers on Mixer is dependent on our ability to scale the service for them as quickly and broadly as possible. It became clear that the time needed to grow our own live streaming community to scale was out of measure with the vision and experiences we want to deliver to gamers now. So we've decided to close the operations side of Mixer and help the community transition to a new platform. I throw up my mouth when I get to the Facebook part. To better serve our community's needs, we're teaming up with Facebook to enable the Mixer community to transition to Facebook gaming. The scale was out of measure with the vision and experiences we want to deliver to gamers now. That was
that mean?
That was the
What
we made
does
a
that
mistake
mean?
part.
What does that mean? You think it's we made a mistake?
Yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's them being like, we completely didn't read the room. But it's weird because... Yeah, I guess they want Facebook to spend the money and not them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean,
they were so interested and talked about it so much. And
it's clear they were trying to do the Epic Game Store tactic, where it's just like they show up, throw a bunch of money around until they have enough market share to matter, and it's like, it's sort of a weird thing. I was talking about it with Omar, my roommate, where it's like if somebody tried to compete with YouTube, it's not to that scale, but it like Twitch is almost like a verb, like Google or Zoom, it's like people are Twitch streamers, it's like almost to that level where it's so ubiquitous. So it felt weird when Mixer showed up, because it's just like, why? It's like Bing also. It's just like, nobody asked for this.
Right.
In Windows phones?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
But I think the difference with Mixer is Mixer already existed and then Microsoft bought them. Like, I wonder if this would have gone down differently if they had never bought them. Like if Mixer would have just kept going and Microsoft had this partnership, and then maybe, that would have kept Microsoft from, wasting a bunch of money. But it sounds like, they're just integrating all that cool Mixer technology into like Microsoft Teams and competing with Zoom essentially.
Well, that's the bummer is like Mixer's tech was pretty good.
Yeah. Like the four-way thing just being
some of the stuff they had is awesome.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of systems that they wanted to make extremely unique and have people, possibly making the user experience switch from Twitch over to Mixer being like, oh, they have a lot of fun ideas over here. And it's interesting seeing those fun ideas now trying to kind of like grab on to whatever's available over on the Facebook group. They said, we encourage all Mixer viewers to spend their remaining Embers and Sparks, which I don't have any Embers or Sparks, so I don't have
or something.
Robbie's,
sure.
I believe, to help support your favorite Mixer partners and streamers. Mixer partners will receive double payment for all of their earnings in the month of June, so your supportive Embers, Sparks, and channel subscriptions for Mixer partners will go even further during the rest of this month, and then it will go nowhere. Viewers with outstanding Ember balances, channel subscriptions, or Mixer Pro subscriptions will receive Xbox gift card credit as a thank you for your engagement on the platform, which you can just then go spend on all the fun next-gen stuff that's happening.
Pretty funny.
This seems like this seems like they made the decision to talk about this like yesterday. Like this does not seem in line whatsoever with any of their plans this summer to slowly build people's excitement for the Series X. Right? This is a different
couldn't have. There's no way. It is interesting that it came off the back of some accusations of racism and stuff within the Mixer team.
Right.
And so like that had happened like a night or two before. Phil Spencer had commented on the guy that was making the accusations, and he was saying, hey, let's talk about this. We won't tolerate this, etc. And then it's like next morning, Mixer's dead. It's like no wonder Phil was so open about this.
You Google Mixer and it's like they're talking about 10 different things in the last like 14 days, and then poof, all of it's irrelevant.
How badass would it be if I know this is not why, but like how badass would it be if they just shut down an entire company for being racist? Like they didn't fire anybody, they just gutted the whole thing. Probably an overreaction, but
yeah, they couldn't have done that deal that quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I'm trying to find the exact quote, but there was this like really bullcrap quote in there where they were talking about 700 million gamers interacting on Facebook. Yeah, here it is. Every month, more than 700 million people play a game, watch a gaming video, or interact in a gaming group on Facebook. And like that means nothing.
Yeah.
That is somebody clicking like on a fan art in a Tomb Raider page. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't equate to anything on your stream numbers. It does not tell me anything about
some
how
grandma
big your
playing
market is.
Bejeweled or something. And
that's
Facebook.
The thing about Facebook is it's just a bunch of eyeballs just kind of floating around the internet. And I think there's been ups and downs ever since Twitch like changed a lot of their marketing stuff. But you can definitely tell it's rooted like in a passion for what for the audience that uses the platform or for what the platform can do. Where like you saw somebody shared a chart where like you see Twitch is just dominating the market, and then YouTube's like giving them a good go, and then like both Mixer and Facebook are like the tiniest piece of pizza. Like you'd be very, very upset with them combined.
But like so that's just like how crazy is that YouTube, the world's biggest video platform, can't compete with Twitch in live streaming. It's just like like how does Mixer or Facebook?
I think one of the things that somebody I saw bring up in chat in terms of not liking YouTube's approach is the way that like channels are handled. Just like people that you follow, and like when somebody goes live, like it's very clear and direct, and you can just hang out on somebody's channel page all day, and then when they go live, and when they don't. Whereas like with YouTube, like every live stream is like a separate video link,
right?
And so it just feels a little bit more broken up.
It's still trying to be YouTube.
Facebook is even way worse about that. Like everything just gets lost in the noise, and if you want to even talk to your audience, they like, hey, give us money, promote to your people, and like, isn't that why people click like? Isn't that why people follow us? Like, I don't understand why we have to now pay money to show people what they want to see.
Well, that's the thing. Facebook's a dinosaur, man. It's like it's old internet, like I said before. It's like it won't die, but it's been dying. Like it's sick. It's heavy. It's broken. It's like corrupt. And I think the model doesn't work anymore as well.
It sounds like you're in an old like black and white horror film. Like, it's broken. It's corrupt.
It's broken.
It's going to kill us all.
But I also think that like,
and it's headed this way.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I'm alone on this or if other people feel this way too, but I feel like there is sort of like this disconnect of like, for me, like Facebook is very much, okay, this is personal life, this is family, this is friends from high school, this is like, and that's where that stuff is connected. And then Twitter is where I talk about games.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like with Facebook, it's like, well, if you're streaming, are you streaming with like your name? Or is that like connected to your personal Facebook account? Because nobody wants to do that. So then do they have to create business pages and figure all that crap out to like stream under a pseudonym? It's just, there's just like all these weird questions. And then like, you know, if you get into like fans and stalkers and those kind of interactions, like you just kind of want to keep that stuff a little bit separated.
And there's so many questions now. That's kind of what they've created, is this happened so fast that everyone was asking questions about, what does this mean for PR? What is this?
Everyone has 30 days to figure it out.
Vivek Sharma, the head of Facebook Gaming, told The Verge the decision on where Mixer streamers go next will be, quote, up to them and their priorities. You know, that's not my business.
So not Facebook.
So you got King Gathalion, who will be going to Facebook. Ninja said, quote, I love my community and what we built together on Mixer. I have some decisions to make and will be thinking about you all as I make them. So that sounds like Ninja's like, okay.
Yeah, well, we know he's not going to Facebook.
What I plan to do.
You turn that down.
Yeah.
So Brad, you're superstar streamer number one. You got the gigantic deal from Mixer to come on over. You're like, fine, I'll take that money. I know my community will jump on over. Now this happens. You get even more money. I'm going to give you even more money to come over to Facebook. You coming?
No.
No?
If I was Ninja, dude,
you don't have a future? No, not Ninja. You are Brad Ellis, superstar streamer.
Dude, I'm
talking about your brand.
If I had a ton of money, no. I'd want to go to Twitch because that's where the most population is. You can talk to the most people. And I think that's where you'll get the most exposure. Like, Facebook is, like Blood said, is like where you do stuff, at least for me, is like family and like close friends. I'm not going on Facebook to like stream a bunch of randos. I'm going on Twitch where everyone does that. And Twitch is like emo culture. I think is a big part of it, and I think it makes it a lot of fun for a lot of people. And no one has come close to that yet. So I'd be going Twitch, baby.
What if Ninja just like retires?
He could.
He totally
could. He just got $30 million.
Are you kidding? Yeah.
Like he's made so much money.
Fortnite is starting to feel like it's, you know, on a little bit of a downtrend.
Yeah. Like if it were me and I had the fortitude to be in Ninja's position, you know,
the
Fortniteitude, I would buy a house and stop.
Yeah.
Dude, he probably
just
did
become like
a long
Shaq,
time ago.
You know?
Well, I mean, he's got a house, I'm sure, but I would stop.
Ninja,
if you want, he might like doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he likes it. That'd be novel.
But
imagine liking streaming, dude.
Imagine liking something. What's that like? I'm
frustrated that this happened. I wonder, again, just all the people that are adversely affected out of nowhere. I just don't know if this is like going to linger with Xbox. If like their next presentation, they're going to like, do you just get as hush-hush about this as possible? Or do you think Facebook's the kind of thing that everyone can just dismiss if they don't like it? Or is this...
No, like I said, they're not going to talk about Mixer ever again, but they're going to push Facebook.
Yeah, they're going to push
so
Facebook.
freaking hard. It is going to be
at least
that event next month that it's going to be there.
That's the part I'm confused about. Like, I was unclear if...
My feelings are mixed.
I was unclear if Microsoft and Facebook are working together or if Facebook just bought the Mixer tech and Microsoft was like, great.
Microsoft has that stuff for them.
Oh.
They shut down Mixer, and then they partnered with Facebook to, you know, basically give people equivalent partner deals and stuff.
But make Facebook pay for the server costs.
Right.
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams will leverage Mixer's deep investments in ultra-low latency video streaming, real-time interactivity, and video distribution technology to accelerate our ability to support a variety of video-first virtual experiences, from meetings to live events to other broadcast scenarios. Applying these fan-centric capabilities to new productivity experiences, It's exhausting. We'll create immersive ways for teams to empower people, teams, and organizations to better engage in virtual gatherings at work and school. Like, they're not wrong. That will make money, but it is not exciting.
Oh, I wonder if that played a part of it, like being third fiddle to Zoom and Hangouts and whoever. Like, I wonder if that was a big part of this, because they've been shifting teams around a lot too. Like, they announced last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, that like Teams was going to have kind of like the free for friends Hangout tier or whatever it was. I don't know any details on that. I just saw like a headline, but
they're just trying to dip their foot in whatever is kind of successful right now or trending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mean to make people that were adversely affected by this upset, but like there is a part of me that does kind of crack up at efforts like this, because it reminds me of like not having a lousy video player back at Game Trailers, where it's just like, just put this stuff on YouTube. It's like, no, we have to have our own video player. Just this ping pong between, we want Mixer, we're gonna make its own thing. It's gonna be, you're not gonna really know who it's affiliated with, because you just love Mixer. Like, you don't know it's you have to get an Xbox. We just want you to find this platform and love it. And then it's like, no, Facebook Gaming, because it's the gaming arm of Facebook. And then like 5 years later, it's gonna be like, okay, we have to call it something different now. It's called Hot Potato, because it can't be Facebook Gaming, because it brings the connotations of Facebook. They're just back and forth and back and forth. So it does kind of crack me up to see people spend money on this, but it's also a bad decision that I don't want to. I was like, no, Phil. I feel like writing this and I'm reading it like, Phil, bad Phil. This is not the way to do this, man.
Well, it's like another like weird Facebook move where like when they bought Oculus, it's just like, I didn't see it coming. It makes sense, but also what? Like,
right.
This weird old Facebook being weird old Facebook.
They have tons of money, man.
Yeah.
I just did a bunch of Oculus stuff this weekend, and it was like, you should make a Facebook account. And I'm like, no, I'll find other games. And they were like, this is Oculus. You make a Facebook account right now. I'm like, oh, okay. I've not been on my old Facebook account. I forgot the login information. Just like, I just it's around here somewhere. I just never felt like booting that back up. But I'm like, to sync up with friends on Oculus, like, all right, fine. I'll finally do it.
Wow.
I'm back. Facebook's like, I bet you know these 500 people. I'm like, I do, Facebook. I'm not friending them.
I don't care.
Leave me alone. But, yeah. It's interesting. I don't get a lot of, I got to be honest, from this group, I didn't get a lot of, like, Facebook makes me mad. And I hear from people that, I know some people that Facebook makes them extremely mad, or they really, really don't like Facebook.
I don't really
and it
use
sounds like
Facebook anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah, our approach is really that this is just a weird move and not necessarily like, oh, no.
But I think that's part of the problem, though, is that there are so many people that just no, they don't want anything to do with Facebook. They're hard out. They're not going to touch it. And that's a problem when you're trying to figure out where to move your business and you don't know what your audience's feelings are.
I think they got to know that. I wonder if that, the dollar signs are just beyond anything we can imagine, or who knows.
It's a weird week or couple of weeks too, because like there are a lot of big high profile like Ben and Jerry's and North Face and stuff are all pulling out from Facebook because they don't feel that Facebook does enough to like stem hate speech and stuff. So it's like just been a weird month for Facebook. But I mean, like I don't hate Facebook. I don't care about Facebook. I think it's a bad platform. I use it as a messenger and that's it. But yeah, the reasons I don't like Facebook are like stuff like that.
Well, I'm stoked about Facebook spending exorbitant amounts of money on VR. Somebody's got to. It's like, yes, take their money and go make some really cool tech.
Somebody's got to, and their name is Steam, is Valve.
Right. Well, there's still a lot of people. Everybody's got to have their own VRs. So like, yeah, I'm cool with spending money on that, but it just seems like usually, even like we make fun of Stadia all the time, but like when I first heard Google's like they're gonna have their own console, like we were excited about that for a while, at least really curious, because it's exciting when like a big company's like, no, big investment, and I'm not excited about this. It's just not something where I was like, oh, get out. And it seemed like a lot of people that I saw that were reacting to it were not reacting with excitement, mostly disbelief. Other stuff happened this week that was not generally as positive, but absolutely needs to be said, and I'm not going to get into huge details about this. I leave the platform completely open if any of you would like to speak about it, but a absolute wave of abuse allegations swept across the game industry, all facets of the game industry, streamers and hosts and talent people and journalists and developers, and the accusations run the gamut from people, rape accusations to just people being improper, people being abusive, and lots of stories to read out there. I am going to mention some names just specifically again because just like when we talked about Black Lives Matter, like these are things that directly impact the game industry. And I think the thing that really strikes me from reading these names is it just seems like these are absolutely all over the place. Even careers that like I just don't even normally think about when I think about like the game industry. Mm-hmm. Omid Dariani, that was now the former CEO of Online Performance Group, which is a talent agency, has been accused. Noah Bradley, who is a Magic the Gathering artist, has now been cut off from Wizards of the Coast. Max Temkin, one of the 8 co-creators of Cards Against Humanity, has resigned. Chris Avallone, writer of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Fallout New Vegas, and was previously working on Dying Light 2. They mentioned that both times I saw them at E3, is now not working on that game. More than 50 streamers have made accusations to, I believe, more than 40 different people. Twitch and its CEO responded to it officially. Mm-hmm. I imagine there's still people that are not satisfied with Twitch's response, but they have responded. And news is popping out.
Yeah, I think they're starting to actually ban accounts
Ubisoft
now.
replying to a lot of this stuff. Tom Prosyndicate Cassell, the same guy from the Counter-Strike betting scandal. Joe Vargas, aka Angry Joe, who we've talked about every now and then, was accused by fellow streamer Ryan Chaotic Terry, was accused of grooming and emotionally abusing young girls. So again, this runs the gamut in terms of all of the various things that people are saying people did. Journalist Ginny Wu was accused of targeting people in the LGBTQ community, and music, comics, film, TV, wrestling. And this is just kind of like its own. A whole nother streak of Me Too accusations. And again, I recommend going out there reading any potential of these individual stories. The only point I want to make that maybe some of you want to bounce off of or take this in a completely different direction is it is certainly an attitude. Like there's definitely a time for, people fighting for rights, given that we are frustrated for a lot of different reasons, probably first and foremost the fact that a lot of us are stuck at home and have been for a very long time. And so emotions are high, and I like to see in the gaming industry because these are stories that I want to hear. These are people that I want to believe, because I want to learn more about their experiences in development, their experiences working in this industry. I'm glad that stuff like this can gain momentum, in the social age in 2020. It kind of is like a strange silver lining, even though a lot of these are very uncomfortable to read and learn about. But that is my take. Again, I think it does not behoove us to be like, well, in this one particular case, because there are legal ramifications. There's all sorts of people, implied people on both sides of it. But it's the kind of thing I like to see and hate to see at the same time.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I've been following, and and I think a lot of like what you see, obviously depends on like who you follow, and then which stories you read, and like it's like a huge spider web of different things. I think one of the things that kind of strikes me as interesting about this too is that it's not just focused on like one specific thing. It's not just like like it is all kinds of different levels and forms of abuse, and so it's like it's kind of tricky and weird to follow because there have been like some really like crazy egregious things, and then there are other things that are like, well, this kind of looked bad, and then somebody apologizes and the person accepts their apology, and then it's like, okay, I guess they're moving on and everything's cool. And there's other things.
You might not get that story if you find,
right.
These events that have happened. You might not see that.
And then there are other things that aren't really related to sexual misconduct or anything at all. It's just like this person is like just an abusive person, abusive boss. They're just like mismanaging how they use their power, and how they make their employees feel and basically force their employees out. So there's just all kinds of different stories coming out. But yeah, it's hard. It's very hard to read all of it and hear all of it, and and I think the broader thing is just people are like looking at like, okay, we need to address the culture that facilitates a lot of this. We need to address people being afraid to go to anyone, people not feeling like HR is on their side, people feeling like these events where people go to network and have these huge open bars are just breeding grounds for this kind of bad behavior. And then you're having things like the director of Assassin's Creed stepping away because he's been found out that like he's been cheating on his wife with multiple people and telling them that he's not married, and just it's crazy.
but I'm glad we're talking about it.
Sure.
And yeah, it just seems like, and shout out to the first couple people who, again, I did not track this in terms of like, the ripples in the water in terms of like what, who might have come out and said something first, which kind of had a domino effect, and led a lot of other people to get involved. And you read, again, like you were saying, it's tough. You read some of these stories, Bloodworth, and I can imagine like that sounds like a terrible event that happened, but also something that once you actually manage to get through that and still stay in this industry and still try to find a job somewhere, or, create a different career path for yourself, that I would if half of that happened to me, I would definitely not want necessarily to revisit that, necessarily write that out in a blog, or just have a bunch of people that I know professionally and personally know about that,
that's something I think about a lot, where it's like, man, you must have such a passion for this to like be treated so poorly in a field and then want to keep doing it in like every field, journalists, in any field, streamers,
yeah. There's so much variety here. And so that's what's interesting to me, that potentially some people in these different social groups that aren't necessarily like, openly connected, that do work in different facets of the gaming industry, were still inspired by all of this coming out, that there were still a bond, so to speak, between a lot of these people that were, retweeting other people, replying to other people, saying, that they believe and that they're ready to listen and hear all this stuff. So,
and like as an addendum add-on to my previous statement too, because I realized like it's a privileged thought to think that you could just like be like, well, I got treated poorly in this entire industry, I'm just gonna burn that and go to another one, because that's not possible all the time. Also, like that shouldn't happen. Like someone who's treated poorly should not have to run and leave. Should not feel like they should.
But yeah, apologies for being potentially vague, other than because there's so many more names, there's so many other stories, but I'm still, probably by the time you listen to this podcast, early access or not, I'm still going to be reading stories. I'm still going to be catching up on a lot of this stuff. So
we saw one just before we started filming a new one.
Thank you to the people that are telling these stories. Again, shout out to the people that started a lot of these conversations.
Brett, did you want to say anything? I want to make sure you're not.
Oh, no, like, one thing I saw that I thought was kind of interesting was, I don't know if you guys saw the IGN thing with like Mitch Dyer and stuff, and he's saying he was forced to like write that there was heat between Amy and like Neil Druckmann when she left and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And he was forced to do that even though he didn't want to, but his higher ups made him do it. Just like, damn, that shit sucks.
That's like a breach of journalistic integrity that people should be mad about. Not like pretending that review scores are bought and shit.
Yeah, it's just like, man, he had to like live with that for so long.
Yeah, like that kind of false, like.
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
Yeah. Jeez.
And then, I think another thing that I saw, I think in this wave of things, and I think I've seen it in the past with other companies, but like it kind of shows that like if you work at HR, you really should not have a relationship with anyone else in that company. Yeah. Like people that like HR people that are married to managers, like that is just a bad cocktail. True. It does not work out for the good of your staff.
Well, and it's a bad look too. I mean, like, because the Twitch thing, they had mentioned all these things to the CEO and the HR head. I remember back at Defy with, what was it, Screen Junkies, Screen Rant, whatever. Mm-hmm. That HR like had heard about several things and ignored it. It's just like, what is the point of your department if you're not going to do something about this stuff?
Well, they have like a healthy competition that didn't exist necessarily a couple decades ago, which is just social media. It's just like, all right, I have this platform. There's enough people I know that will support me, and potentially a site that'll take my story, or whether that is the story is just focused on me, or the stuff can get retweeted and sent back out.
That's no silver lining, whatever, but like that is one positive that we've seen the last few months of social activism, social momentum like that is like it makes things change. It gets things happening. People are fired and arrested and stuff. that just would have gotten away with it otherwise. So yeah, apply pressure where needed.
I think that is a silver lining to the story. I will take that silver lining. That's kind of where my head is at. But again, lots more reading to do, and lots more. I have a feeling maybe we're not through this yet. I have a feeling there's more. Again, because I'm just posting, like minutes before we start recording. New names, new companies, being forced to talk about it. But this definitely has been a very eye-opening last couple months of just seeing a lot of things out and happen in the world. That even though we are 99.9% a business-related podcast, this business of video games is a-changing. When I took over this podcast here from Kyle Bossman, one of my first thoughts was, when are we doing Pop-Tarts and Toaster Strudel? Is that coming up? And Kyle was like, we just passed it. I'm like, no! Like, I just crossed over. It's like you finally sign up for Netflix or HBO something, and that movie you signed up for is gone. It's like, no, I gotta wait. So I waited a while, but we did it. Q3 coming up, July, August, and September of 2020. For those of you that are unfamiliar, you're just Jones fans. That's why you're now listening to the podcast. You finally made the jump over. You're listening to the Easy Odds podcast. This is one of the things that I will accept, that I will carry over from the Kyle Bossman era. We are going to pick over the next 3 months individually what is our Pop-Tart and our Toaster Strudel. And this is a very opinion-based podcast. We're here to talk about the headlines in gaming. We're here to talk about things that we feel. It is a fact, though, that Pop-Tarts are better than Toaster Strudels, but in a very specific way. So Pop-Tarts are ready to party. Pop-Tarts are just like a firework. Okay. You just light them and they're ready to, like, you take it out of the case. You can eat it right there, or you can heat it up. There's not a lot of special treatment
just
that
like
Pop-Tart requires. Yeah. It's ready.
Eat it right out of the box.
Right. It's just ready for a good time.
Apparently you can eat them frozen. I do not want to try that.
They're just preservatives, so you can do whatever you want with them.
There are no rules. Cracked open the case and just eating a Pop-Tart like that?
Oh, but that's not the same as being frozen.
Yeah, I mean, just like room temp, sorry.
Now I want to freeze
Toaster Strudel's room temp, I don't, there's just a lot of work involved. So it's like, these are games necessarily, we're not predicting, again, a lot of the stuff we haven't played, if any of it. So we're not saying specifically a Toaster Strudel is going to be bad. There's just possibly reason for concern. Mm-hmm. Nor are we saying that we know definitively our Pop-Tart is going to be amazing. It's just, gosh darn it, when I see that blueberry with those sprinkles, I'm just going to throw that back. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not my favorite. Just shout out to blueberry.
You don't like blueberries?
I don't know. They're too intense.
What?
Blueberries are too intense.
We are all on the same page in terms of how we feel about both Pop-Tarts and Toaster Strudels.
I like Toaster Strudels.
Moving into the... You're not helping.
They're all bad.
This bit sucks. I like both.
To the month of July. You picked your games though, right, Brad?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then we can do this bit. Biped on Switch comes out on July 2nd, a fun party game. Moving on.
There are too many games, you're going to have to rattle through them.
I'm going to rattle. Marvel's Iron Man VR I'm excited about, but curious how that is going to sell. I don't know if that's
potentially I haven't heard a lot about lately, even though it's very soon.
Yeah. The voice actor of Iron Man in that is probably very upset that he's not getting as much press as Nolan is for the other Avengers game. The Wonderful 101 Remastered. Coming to PC, PS4, and Switch.
That's been out.
That's been out. That's just coming.
That's just like a box copy. Yeah.
Catherine Full Body, is that the same situation? That comes to
Switch.
No, that's 7th. Coming.
That's been out, but it's coming to Switch now.
Yeah, just the Switch version.
Deadly Premonition 2: A Blessing in Disguise.
Yo.
Okay. All right.
It's not.
Did you want to say something, Ian?
But I'm just saying, this game looks terrible and it's perfect. Like, I watched 17 minutes of gameplay this morning on IGN, and like the writing is poor, the pacing is poor, the frame rate is alarmingly bad. It's flawless. This game is going to be a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's kind of a special case when everything you list is just terrible and it makes you more excited.
Yeah, it's like, it's like maybe like there's some things in it that I was like, is this like problematic? Like, what is happening? Just like the first one. Mm-hmm. So who knows? We'll have to see. I don't know.
Does the Switch change anything for you?
I mean,
emotionally, just playing it on that Switch. Well, you played
it on Switch,
right?
I played the first one on Switch. Yeah. So
that's what the franchise is for you.
The question remains: are Don and I gonna be able to contain ourselves and not just stream it, or do I get to like actually play this game on my own? Like, who knows?
Or both. You could potentially have 2 totally different playthroughs, man.
True.
I don't know that the game can support that sort of choice.
You could tap it, and you got to tap its full potential. Before the end of 2020, I want 2 playthroughs out of you. F1 2020, I got a racing game each month, Blood, I think, that I can just kind of check with you really quickly. Coming out on Stadia, I don't know. What can we say about F1 2020? July 10th.
The statement, coming out on Stadia, I don't know. Kind of
coming out on other things as well, but... all right, I'll move on.
Racing.
Story of Seasons. Friends of Mineral Town.
It's awkward pauses, Jones.
I'm curious if anybody's jumping in.
We'll jump in, Jones.
No one's jumping on an F1. What are you, crazy?
Neon Abyss looked kind of cool. That was a game I think I heard about and then forgot about and then saw the trailer again today.
It's in Heber Syndrome this week.
Ooh.
Yep.
There you go. Good plug. Rocket Arena we just found out about, and that is on July 14th.
No, we did not just find out about it. We just found out that EA's publishing it. But we found out about that last year.
Yeah, didn't you guys play that like 2 years ago at Judges Week?
Last year, Judges Week.
Last year?
Then I am getting my games confused. There's a lot of fun arena-based multiplayer games.
You might be thinking of the car one.
Maybe. Maximum something?
Well, that's a different
Destruction
one.
All-Stars?
Yeah. There's Destruction All-Stars, and then there's Maximum Violence
Jones
or
is
whatever.
out of his mind right now.
There's a lot of games.
I will say EA treated that like it was a debut, and it wasn't.
Definitely true. Yes.
Yeah.
I am almost halfway through the month, and no one's really, other than Deadly Premonition 2 being a beautiful train wreck.
Keep it going, Jonesy.
For Ian. Oh, I'm going to keep going. Hunting Simulator 2, I finally arrived at. Drake Hollow, I'm super curious about.
Yeah.
I think there's a demo out of there's going to be a demo soon, but there's some survival aspects that definitely speak to me. But the same day, July 17th, the Drake Hollow is coming out. We get Ghost of Tsushima.
That's my Pop-Tart.
Hey,
that's my Pop-Tart.
Yeah, that's my
Nice.
Pop-Tart too.
I was gonna pick Baldur's Gate 3, but I talked about that last week, so I was like, I should do Ghosts. But yeah, open world game from Sucker Punch, who I love their past work. Sly Cooper Games, Infamous. It's been 6 years, 7 years, something like that, since their last game. So they've been working on this game for a long time, and from what we've seen, I've been impressed so far. Very curious about some things still, but I think it looks pretty solid, man.
Yeah, I also think it looks cool as hell.
It's probably a multi-hour game. Are you going to make time for that, Ian?
Multi-hour? Yes.
It's going to be multi-hour.
I only play games that you can beat in 45 minutes, Jones. You know this. I'm playing the hell out of it. Well, my PS4 doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. Your PS4
so there's
sucks.
That. My PS4 sucks in 3 different ways.
Maybe you can just wait for PS5 then, Ian.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
I'll see what I can do.
How do you feel about the marketing, Brad? How do you think
what do you mean?
Do you think the trailers were good? Do you think they sold the game well? Do you think?
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job. I think a lot of it was kind of slowed down, probably because Last of Us was taking up so much. I feel like that's been on everyone's mind. But I think their PlayStation experience, or whatever the hell their little things are called, I always forget.
State of Play.
Yeah, State of Play. I think they did a pretty good job of showing that game off without giving away too much, but giving you an idea of what the game actually is this time. Because their last E3 thing, we saw some very linear segments, but now you're actually seeing hey, this is some open world you get to explore and move around. Here's how combat works. So yeah, I think they've done a much better job recently with it.
Some of the one of the things weirdly in Ghost of Tsushima that has me most excited is how the wind navigation system and how the animals lead you to I love in-world justifications for waypoints and whatever. Get creative with it, and I think that they're doing cool stuff in that regard for an open world game, which is exciting.
Yeah, the one thing I'm concerned about, but it's not necessarily concern for the quality of the game, is just concern for how people are going to react to it, is they've been taking a lot of time to really try to make what they feel is authentic samurai based combat, and I'm concerned that people are gonna find it either too slow or too easy.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna really pan out.
But that interests me more about it, Blood, is them trying some different approach like that. But I could see people.
Kill.
Yeah.
Curious how it feels in the hand, because we never got to play this game.
Definitely.
We've never played this game.
Nope.
That is true. Do you think that was intentional? Do you think like is going to be any more attention given to this game now that kind of Sony potentially wants Last of Us to sell, but maybe also wants to just change the narrative about the PS4 right now?
I think without the pandemic, we would have played this.
Yeah,
I think there would have been a preview meeting about a month ago.
E3 would have.
Well, they wouldn't have been at E3, but they would have had. Right. They would have had us come up to Seattle or something and play it there.
Yeah.
And they haven't had that beautiful Doom Animal Crossing marriage of themes, but Paper Mario The Origami King is also on July 17th.
Mm-hmm. I'm bummed about that. I want to see that. I want to see those memes.
You got to make it happen.
Yeah.
You got to put the artwork memes, in, dude.
Have a paper airplane guide you through the wind.
Yeah.
Will that be a difficult call for anyone on July 17th? Or will...
I'm definitely buying both.
Yeah, I'm buying both. I think,
but my Switch works, so.
Oh,
yeah, you gotta play Mario first.
Easy to make the decision. Was anybody at EC Allies or Game Trailers ever super into Rock of Ages? Make and Break comes out.
I want to say that Justin or Ryan were more into it. I don't know about super into it.
They definitely. I remember they liked it, and I played it a little at their behest, I think.
I played a little bit of 2. I don't remember if it was a preview build or if it was just like a bit of the final game for Frame Trap. But yeah, it was fun. This one you actually get to make levels. So cool. Huber is asking Don to make him a level.
Hence the make and break.
I played the original Destroy All Humans. I think I played the sequel too. I very much enjoyed it.
Roki.
Roki? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
that game looks cool.
I got Roki on
the. I played it at whatever back when there were gaming events.
That's last E3.
Yeah,
there were people really, there. I sat in a chair.
Was it that long ago? It's cute. It's Norse, like I think Norwegian or Scandinavian mythology, and you play as this girl, and it's like a classic adventure, point-and-click adventure game, but modernized. You control where you walk, and they say like they want the logic to be like. Not dream logic and stuff. It looks cool. Sure. I'm excited for it. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I have stuff that I put, in the also this month category at the end. If there's anything that I skipped over that you don't want me to skip over, then let me know. But I was talking about Destroy All Humans, and I like, it's one of those things where, we had we'll get to this later, we had a new Crash Bandicoot game announced, and you just have all these franchises like, are these things good for a sequel, or do we... think that we're just gonna maybe remake or remaster one thing and then just see how that does, or are they all they're willing to do is invest in just one thing? But I got a kick out of that. I'm curious if that'll stream well or review well.
Don is very excited. This would for sure be his Pop-Tart.
Yay!
Nice.
He is thrilled for this. He was talking to me about it last night.
Grounded looked interesting. It's like kind of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, it's the Obsidian game, right?
And it just had a demo, which I missed. There's just people could finally get access to it, and I was interested in the game, but was not among that group. But found lots of interesting takes. Sounds like one of those demos you can really goof around with.
I think it might be. You can check on this, but I think it might be part of that like Xbox test program, that preview program that they've got going on. If people have access to that.
Skater XL is on July 28th, which previously had just a tad more relevance than before. I don't know if did we find out about Skater XL before both Tony Hawk and getting a new skate?
Yeah, that one's been floating out there for a while.
In the works for a long time, I think.
Well, it stops floating on July 28th. We get DLC for Neo 2, the Tengu's Disciple.
Cool.
I read that as Tenshu's Disciple, which I'd be very excited about, Brad.
I wish, dude.
I'm going to mention this before I cap the rest of the stuff in July, just because I was a huge fan of the original Castle Storm. Castle Storm 2 comes out on July 31st. That is something I'll definitely play before Frame Trap Blood. I don't know if I put my name on that before. I was the nerd that, like, insert the Leo gif where he just has the beer and is pointing. I was like, Castle Storm! Yes, finally! I'm relevant just talking about this game. But that was, had a little bit of tower defense, but there was, like, casting spells and chucking objects and sending troops out, and kind of a Plants vs. Zombies vibe, which I dig. Also, Castle Kong, Crosscode, Bounty Battle, Sword Art Online, Alicization, Lycoris, Radical Rabbit Stew, Into the Radius, which is VR, and the beloved Roki, which mentioned a little bit more, but those are also coming out in July.
Crosscode. Well, no, Crosscode. I've been waiting for it to come out on Switch to buy it because it just seemed like a Switch game to me.
Mm-hmm.
But Jason Wishnov, if I'm thinking of the right game, he said that game was really cool. So I'm gonna get that one too.
I think it has old school RPG vibes.
Yeah.
Which I love that. If I had all the time in the world, I would just play. What did you just review, Blood? That was like 100 hours or something crazy. What was he?
100 hours?
Are you trying to think? Are you thinking Xenoblade or
no?
Trials of Mana?
Yeah, Trials of Mana.
Better than 100 hours, but sure.
Well,
it took me a long time.
You replayed it a bunch of times, right? Like it encourages the new game.
I did a second playthrough, yeah.
Yeah. Tempted.
Wait, you played through it again? You played through it 3 times in like a year, including the original?
Oh, including the original? Sure, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I did the second playthrough on the remake.
Daniel MF in Bloodworth.
Yeah.
Putting in the work.
I mean, I still haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake or Doom or a bunch of other things.
You can skip them.
Don't skip them, Blood.
No, I'm not skipping them.
That is July 2020. In August, Scully kicks off the month on August 4th.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing more about that. It's a fun little game. There's basically a skull rolling around like Monkey Ball. And then it seems like you can like transform into other creatures or something. I don't know. I've only seen a little bit of it.
So we're a month away. Have you?
But I'm gonna try to check it out.
Yeah. Did you not sniff that out, or do you think are they holding back? It's a month away.
I don't think they're holding back. I think it's just a smaller game.
We'll find out more stuff. Fast the Furious Crossroads.
I'm picking that.
This is
Pop-Tart.
This is my Tosha strudel, dude.
Drama.
This is your Pop-Tart, Blood?
Yeah. I don't even care about Fast and Furious, but some of the footage of this game looks insane. And it's also coming from Slightly Mad, who make Project Cars. They made Need for Speed Shift. They know racing games. But
wow.
I think it's very similar in the sense of like Ian with Deadly Premonition 2, to where like I don't expect this game to perform well. I don't expect this game to be a technical achievement. I just expect this game to be really bonkers. And I think that's going to make up for a lot of stuff.
I don't really care for the Fast and Furious franchise. I'm sorry, everybody. And I watched the trailer of this game again today. I was like, damn, this looks kind of boring, dude. There's no way in hell I'd ever play this. So I'm out. Looks pretty rough, dude. Looks low budget, too.
You're engaged, though. You're engaged with your animosity toward this game.
Yeah, but that's it.
You're not just going to let this game speed on by you.
No, I will.
You're going to throw yourself out in the road with a sign.
Yeah,
stop, please stop.
I might do impressions on Frame Trap or something, but I don't think I review this just because I have no reference for any of these characters.
I don't think you're going to need any.
I've not seen these movies.
Yeah, they're just people who like cars and family is their whole thing, and they're all pretty tedious. Yeah.
To read like a deadly serious Daniel Bloodworth review of Fast and Furious
Crossroads
with like such little purchase on the story or any of the previous characters and stuff. Just trying to figure it out, going through it. I would love
a Bloodworth review where he repeatedly says something like, "Now I've never seen the films."
Yeah.
But it's about family.
If I understand, Dom really cares about family and racing cars in the first 3 movies, and then that kind of just goes away.
A Total War Saga, Troy, comes out on August 13th.
Looks cool.
Yeah, this franchise is just a steamy locomotive. This is just chugging down the track.
There's just a bunch of them.
Going through everything, yeah, and just kind of like an Assassin's Creed vibe. It's just everything changes. The marketing changes, the HUD changes, the style of everything. Obviously, music, and it's just so interesting. And it was interesting to see them talk about it. And obviously, just the taking of the city is such a fundamental part of the story, and obviously, it seems to fit into why they wanted to make an RTS surrounding all of these very popular events. And I love that there's just like different ways to do it. They're like, well, let's take Troy again. Like you can just rewind it and go back in and, how many horses you want to build? What do they mean by those horses? Maybe they put on a horse play or something. Who knows? There's just like a lot of rewinding time, and obviously doing that, the satisfying goal of taking that city. Makes me want to watch that movie. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning on August 18th.
It'll be interesting to see whether that gets any
traction or not.
Traction behind it. Yeah, it's a crazy story, that game.
You know what we should do? I mention this every time, but that was Game Trailers' like first stream. We should like look back and see who all was on it, like Bloodworth and Ryan and maybe Miguel and Justin or something. Try to get them on like a Zoom call.
Yeah, see what you guys do again.
Play Re-Reckoning like again. That'd be really funny.
I don't think Justin can do anything like that though with his job.
Oh yeah. I mean, no guarantees. Yeah.
Is any of that crazy story extending to it being just remastered? Is there anything interesting about this part of the story, or does it seem logical that it's like, I probably got enough value there to just get one game out of?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if they will go any further with it. What's funny about the game in a way is I feel like a lot of what made people excited for it was a lot of quality of life improvements that now are super common. So all this stuff that like, oh, this is really cool. It's like pushing RPGs forward. Like now it's just gonna breeze past people. Like they're just not even gonna see any of that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious how people react to it and whether the port will stand up.
I did see people, I don't think this is like a Dragon's Dogma 2 level of hype, but I did see, some surprising level of people on social media.
Yeah, people love that game.
King's of Amalur, yeah. It's like, finally, people will know, because I knew I could never convince them to play the other one, but here's another chance on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Remnant from the Ashes is getting a DLC called Subject 2923 on August 20th. I know you've played that, Brad.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't?
No.
You reviewed like a ton. Oh, you played.
I didn't do it. I wanted to play it. I just haven't gotten to it.
Right.
I heard it was good.
We did a developer showcase that you could find before the game came out. They came into the studio. Remember that?
The what now?
The who? Kyle Bossman's Easy Allies Studio 2019. Anyway, it was a fun game. It's like Souls with guns.
Well, it sounds like this is going to be their last DLC, though, which is a surprise.
That's what they said. Yeah, they're like final DLC.
So,
which I don't know if that's because they planned it or it just didn't sell well, or I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I think this game did pretty well. I heard a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
At least word of mouth.
Yeah, I felt like it was doing better than I would have expected it to, and I felt like it would have been something that they would have just kept expanding on, but I guess they're maybe moving on to a sequel. I don't know.
Backdoor deals, baby, being made. Some hands being shook.
Maybe they got bought by Facebook.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Never know.
Maybe
something was probably bought by Facebook during the recording of this podcast.
Right. Well, sure. Who was the Order 1886 guys.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is not on the August 2020 list, but yeah, we'll get to that eventually.
Makes sense. They've been doing Lone Echo, and that's Oculus.
I was not surprised about that. Yeah. That seemed in line with what they were doing. But I think it's just a lot of people made the direct connection to the Order. They're just like, yeah, those guys haven't been doing anything. It's like they've been doing
a lot. Yeah.
They are like one of the most accomplished VR developers of all the people out there making stuff. So I am very excited about the next stuff they're going to be working on. Less excited about PGA Tour 2K21 on August 21st, Madden 21 on the 25th of August. New World, that crazy MMO, is supposedly coming out on the 25th. Remothered Broken Porcelain.
It's a Huber joint right
yeah,
there.
It's a horror game.
About that,
a super crazy horror game comes out on the 25th as well. On August 27th, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm excited and sort of worried.
Which is why that's my toaster strudel. Because I got bored of the old one, but I still really love it. But it just wasn't, it didn't compel me enough to be like, I gotta finish this. And I think it was the kind of thing where I was playing like as a novelty with people from work. And we were like, let's finish this playthrough totally. And then we just didn't.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if the accessibility of the Switch will.
Well, I mean, it was a hassle
turn
before.
That around. Or,
you had to have like the Game Boy adapter and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's not a crazy diverse game in terms of like gameplay. Like you can merge spells, but they still are just circles that have little elemental stuff that happens on
tier music though.
Mm-hmm.
Just buy that soundtrack right now. Don't even worry about sampling and just buy it.
Is that Kumi Tenioka?
Yep.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's pure retro knowledge.
Lots of I forget the name of the group, but she worked with a group that like specializes in kind of like building like ancient instruments.
Whoa,
and like making them work and like and play, and so that's a lot of that stuff that's in that soundtrack. So there's a lot of sounds and tones and things that you just don't normally hear because they're from things in medieval times.
That sounds awesome.
Did you do a backtrack on that?
No, I hadn't.
Damn.
Get on it, Blood in the past.
Yeah.
If Hubert was here, Mafia Definitive Edition, the actual thing might be his toaster strudel
or his Pop-Tart. I'm not sure.
Yeah, hard to tell.
Or both. But I'm definitely optimistic. I'm still kind of blown away from when we got those first screenshots, and we haven't seen like a ton of the game. But I'm extremely curious. I think that so much work is being put on that game that they then decided like, well, we might as well do this like super low effort Mafia 2 remaster and then just like repackage Mafia 3 and call it something else. So
I think a different team did that though.
Yes. So I just think the decision to work on those things is separate from and came out of all of this attention being put on the first game. There's only 2 other games. We might as well definitivize those as well. How hard could it be? Wasteland 3 is on August 28th.
Yeah, that game is something that I am confident is good, but yet have like next to no knowledge of.
Yeah, I never played the other ones.
I played them a little bit, but I don't know. Some point in my life, my like isometric, because I played so much Fallout and Fallout 2 as a kid. Somewhere I burned out on that. Somewhere along the line.
Oh yeah, because you were saying that with even Outer Worlds, like you were just over that style of game. Yeah,
I just burned out on it. I don't know.
So it's for people who haven't burned out, basically, because they're like this is specifically, but you know enough about it to sniff that from afar.
If you want a hardcore CRPG, yes.
Brad, are you burnt out on Baldur's Gate?
No, I haven't even played like a real Baldur's Gate game yet.
So you will be looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
If it is to launch.
Oh, that's not launching in August. That's a beta that's launching in August.
That's the early access.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe. That's not even not for sure
not
for
guaranteed.
That. Well, we can still be excited about it, and you were talking about it earlier.
Super excited.
Fine then. No Straight Roads.
Damiani checked that out at E3 last year. I think he's still interested in it. It's some crazy stuff with like.
It's like a music game.
Yeah, rock versus EDM.
Oh yeah, I do remember
that. I think there's some former Square Enix people working on it. Something like that.
What was the purple polygon motorcycle backflip rail game?
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Sayonara Wild Hearts. Obviously, these are different, different games, different styles, lots of different gameplay going on. But I wonder if it's that kind of spectacle type, musical experience that it's just like, even if this might not seem like your wheelhouse, if you do appreciate the music and the aesthetic, it's worth checking out. I wonder how long that game's going to be. And if it comes out in August, because we're not 100% sure with a lot of this stuff. Serious Sam as well, which will be on Stadia, right? Is there some...
Yeah. Is that
Stadia, which will be interesting.
Starting on Stadia, or is it coming to both?
I do not know. I will get corrected for that. I want to put my neck out there and say it's coming to Stadia first. There's some kind of scoop there. That there's too many scoops. Surgeon Simulator 2 is supposedly going to happen in August. Which looks completely bizarre in a good way. Tour de France is also potentially going to happen in August, along with
all the things to pick out of that list. Okay.
Yeah. Also lumping at the end though, Inertial Drift, Okana 4 Rhythms Across the Blue, Captain Tsubasa, Rise of the New Champions, Jump Force Deluxe Edition, Windbound, and Willie Morgan and the Curse of Bone Town. That's silly Willie Morgan.
I pulled up the latest info I had on it. It was Final Fantasy XV's lead game designer, as well as a concept artist from Street Fighter V.
For which one?
No Straight Roads.
Wait, Tabata? Is that who it is?
No, Juan Hasmer.
Oh.
And Daim, I don't know how to say that last name, Dziauden.
Oh, okay.
And scene. Only a couple of things so far that are confirmed for September. A shorter list than the last 2 months. Crusader Kings 3.
I'm sure that game is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it looks
September
intense,
1st.
dude.
Those games are so complicated.
Complicated but fantastic.
Yeah.
Why is it going to be fantastic? Because you have experience.
Those games, they just have there's a good pedigree there. Like Crusader Kings 1 and 2. My friend Yuli, who betrayed me once, loves Crusader Kings. He fancies himself a bit of a crusader.
Oh.
Okay.
Just pillaging, conquering,
But that's at least one person that liked it, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
WRC9.
I feel like there's an inside joke that nobody else knows anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I try to get as
That's
much
why I
news
didn't
into this
even bother
podcast
asking.
as possible. We're not taking time to explain it.
No.
WRC9, again, I get at least one racing game per month, Blood. In case you want to jump in there with a lot of hot details. Otherwise, I'll move on.
I don't
Dormont
have any
story.
details, but I thought Codemasters just got that license to me that applies to the next game.
Cool.
Is that like a rally game, Blood? World Rally?
Yeah. World Rally Championship.
Doraemon, Story of Seasons.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Doraemon.
Sorry.
Doraemon.
Anime,
that
big
one.
blue guy.
Yes. It looked familiar to me, but I don't know what this is. If this is a remake of something, or it's just another game in the
I
franchise.
think it's just so. Story of Seasons is the new name for Harvest Moon series in the U.S.
That's right.
Ah.
I mean, Harvest Moon is branched
Still,
off with
yeah.
other developers, but the original series, and then Doraemon's the blue kids anime. So it's just like a little crossover game.
Weird.
Another crossover. You got the Marvel's Avengers on September 4th. A little crossover.
Yeah, there's a toaster strudel.
Various Marvel franchises. Are you
Yeah, that
doing
game
it? Are you
looks
going in?
bad.
It's toaster strudel bait.
Yeah, I was honestly looking for something else, but it stuck out way
I
too
considered
clearly.
it.
Yeah, and it does. It's one of those things that fits the analogy so perfectly because okay, they could get everything just right, and it could be really fun, or you could bite into it and get some frozen filling.
Yeah.
Man,
The game had some rough shots in that war
just that
table.
camera alone when you're fighting is going sideways all the time. Why are you doing that? Don't do that.
Yeah, they got a lot of convincing to do. I just don't know how much of that is going to translate into sales. I think it'll be interesting. After something like The Division, it'll be interesting how much they talk about at launch, the future of the Avengers. I think that's going to be the main thing for me that you can tell. That's how scared you are or not about how much people will potentially buy into this.
I feel like that's a game that has the potential to just sell despite
Based
any
on
noise.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dragon Ball games.
Yeah.
It's as long as you're decent enough for somebody to pick up that controller and smash your way through it, then tons of people will buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget that I'd say the majority of the consumer for a lot of big major titles doesn't really listen to enthusiast press at all.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
They just buy it.
It's got pretty graphics when it runs well. A lot of people bought Spider-Man, if they can get a third of those numbers. That's still a lot of numbers. I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 should probably do well, which is also on September 4th.
Yeah.
I hope it
That's
does. I
gonna
hope
be
it's good.
sweet.
Yeah, again, talking about things that we hope are a trend, possibly speaking to other things they could do down the road. 13th Sentinels, Aegis Rim is on September 8th.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, finally.
Explain to me this.
This is the first I've heard of it.
It's not the first I've heard of it. This is something that, is pointed out every single time we talk
Vanillaware's
about it.
Newest game.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've heard of it.
Why did it take so long? Is that just kind
I don't know
of...
how long. It's been on
Par for
Japan
the
for a
course, or-
while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but Vanillaware is a really small
Yeah.
developer, so I think that has something to do with it. Just they probably just don't have as much of a pipeline for localization
yeah.
and all that.
Destiny 2 Beyond Light is on September 22nd. A little confusing. Light is in a lot of the names of the stuff that they're doing. So, but Beyond Light,
But now they're
Past
going
Light,
beyond it.
Under Light, Torchlight, Stronghold Warlords.
Yeah, baby.
That's the one. I think I got my Crusader Kings mixed up with my Warlords.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is both my toaster strudel and my Pop Tart.
Well done. Right before
Both
we wrap
at
up the
one
segment.
deal?
Well done. Well done.
Because I love the Stronghold games, but this game, Damiani saw 2 seconds of this game and he said it looked old and bad. So he's not wrong,
Yeah.
2 and 3
old
were
in a
bad,
charming way, bad in a charming way.
Yeah, they're all yeah. They're all a little special. The Stronghold games, they're very their own thing. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I like Crusader a lot, and I hope this one is a return to form.
This one's in China, right?
Yeah, this one's set. Yeah, so who knows? I don't know. It might be terrible or it might be quaint and lovely.
Sounds like it's not even a guilty pleasure for you. This is just something you enjoy.
Yeah. I just love Stronghold Crusader and Stronghold 1. And if this one, because Stronghold 2 and 3, like they like overthought the castle building and it got like dumb and bad. And this one, the walls work better. I played a preview of this and the walls work better. So that's a good sign. Yeah. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know, man.
You gonna tease me with the relevance of that mechanic?
Ian, you convinced me.
The walls just the systems.
I think I can pass that along. I think if I'm having conversations with strategy fans and what did you hear about Stronghold Warlords? I heard the walls are better. Damn.
Yeah, the stairs work now.
Cool. And that'll wrap up the month. But also in September, DreamWorks Troll Hunters Defenders of Arcadia,
Wow.
and Airy and the Secret of Seasons. There's stories of seasons and secrets and seasons.
Yeah, I know that name, but I can't tell you what it's about off the top of my head.
It sounds like a knockoff Ori and the Blind Forest.
How dare you? It's its own game. Trying very hard to get out there in front of people. Yeah.
I mean, I support it. Whatever.
We're done with September. Why did you have to get all negative right at the end of September? On Monday morning, some of you reacted to the Summer Game Fest day 8, 5. I don't know. Some things happen that are like Summer Game Fest, and other things happen that are not. But the Summer Game Fest is also still watching it, so it's confusing in terms of what is actually created.
Was summer? I think this was more of a Summer Game Fest centralized event to where like they were the one. Jeff was the one that basically like put it all together and was presenting it and streaming it, because it started with the reveal of Crash Bandicoot 4. And then it went into a presentation from Day of the Devs, which is headed up by Double Fine, but then it also has participation from I Am 8-Bit and PlayStation, Nintendo, Steam, like all of these different companies that kind of highlight cool indie games.
The companies. I mean, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Epic, and Steam. That's a good 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's everybody, really.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, we also had the new Game Plus Expo this week, which I want to talk about just like a little bit, just some highlights there. But it's interesting now that we're getting into, you know, like Ubisoft's going to have another thing, Xbox is going to have another thing, and I'm looking ahead at the games that we're going to get in July and August and September, and I'm looking at Summer Game Fest and Guerrilla Collective, and like there's some games in there I didn't see in any of these events, and it's like, what are you doing? Get in here somewhere. There's just so many titles, so many independent companies making stuff. Do you just... Are you crazy not to be involved in the New Game Plus Expo or something else, or do you respect people? Ian, you know a lot of indie developers. Do you respect people who are like, I'm gonna advertise myself, damn it? Or do you think it's really tricky to get in some of these shows? Or
that's the thing, is like I think a lot of these shows like Guerrilla Collective and stuff, I mean, I don't know, but it might be as simple as just like people who knew people who then knew people, and they all just kind of got together and put their show together. And if you don't know anybody, I don't know, and like, you know, that's one possibility. But it's also like we talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago, after Guerrilla Collective and stuff. If you have E3, you know, there are all those games that have a booth that, you know, you look at the sign and you might walk by it or whatever, but or there's the Indie Mega booth or whatever, those kinds of things where there's just like 100 games in there. And you walk around, you play some of them, you just look at the other ones, you watch someone play it. But like that works in person, but to give 100 games a thing, like you said last week or 2 weeks ago, Brandon, like, is it too much? Like, do things get lost?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of things might if it were that many. So it's hard to say, like, what the right call is sometimes. And I don't know if they're like turning people away. Like if someone has a trailer and They're like, oh, nah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it too, that like some of the stuff can just be that basic, you know, like as someone who gets a lot of these emails, and like a lot of things just go right past my cone of vision. Is like, okay, I see that headline, I see some screenshots, I see some GIFs, I look at the next email, you know, and I keep going. But like every once in a while there's something like Scully that I'm like, I might check that out. I don't know why, you know, like I don't know why that game over any of the others, but just something about it like kind of sparks a little bit of interest. So I feel like that probably, you know, can be said for, you know, some of these showcases that people have done as well. I will say that I feel like Day of the Devs hit a pretty good balance in terms of their pacing, to where I didn't really feel like anything was dragging on too long or that went by so fast that I didn't know what it was. And it felt like everything had a kind of a good like they just felt like they gave the right amount of time for everything that they had. And so I'm interested to see, because they put out like a call to devs to submit for next month, because they're going to do it again in July.
So again, it was a Summer Game Fest thing, but Day of the Devs really did kind of take over along with I'm8bit, or Double Fine specifically in I'm8bit. And Double Fine definitely has just a great indie presence at PAX and E3. Like they always, whenever we would have like Judges Week, like there would always be, you know, Double Fine not only would come showcasing their stuff, but they were just always surrounded by really interesting developers. And so it did feel a little bit more like some of the stuff that I would see at Judges Week, as opposed to maybe stuff that we've seen previously in the Guerrilla Collective and other things that maybe like just a very, very small team, or, you know, from another country maybe getting their game in the US for the first time. Whereas I think there's just a different attitude there in terms of those people at Double Fine and I'm8bit, and just the way that they talked about these games. And it was nice getting more of a deep dive into stuff like Drake Hollow and Skate Story, Eternal Cylinder, Sea of Stars, stuff that we had heard about before. They also had The Artful Escape, Starbase, Foregone, Spinch, Inglet, Black Book, which that's completely my jam. Haunted Garage, which you loved, Ian.
Haunted Garage looks sick.
Panzer Paladin, which had really cool like 8-bit combat.
Is that the one that looks like Shovel Knight?
Kinda, yeah. And there's just a lot of blocking and parrying and stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is this game? You're speaking my language.
Yeah, you have like a big shield, and it was kind of almost, it was like remind me of Zelda 2 a little bit as well. Just a lot of that like clashing, you know, in a 2D combat. And Panzer Paladin from Tribute Games. Sky Season of Sanctuary, which is that game company's game, which I guess is getting more content, which is crazy to think of that game company, you know, just being like the number one thing on the planet with Journey, and then now they're like, we got Sky, we're fine. They're playing this on mobile games, no big deal.
Yeah, because it was an iPhone game for a long time, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's coming to Switch or something like that.
It's calling to me. I just have never given it a chance yet. The Night is Grey, Knuckle Sandwich, an Overlook Trail with a very enigmatic.
That one looked cool too.
That trailer was crazy.
That one looked pretty wild.
Also, the New Game Plus Expo, which I did watch, which I just want to very quickly, before we wrap up the podcast, go through my highlights from that. Obviously, Curse of the Moon 2.
Yeah!
I'm incredibly excited that is happening. And that is such a win. Could we possibly just get Curse of the Moons now? Or is this...
Yeah, you can get like probably 3.
Is this now totally separate from... Is this even a part of marketing for Bloodstained anymore? Or is this just its own awesome franchise that should pump out as many games as possible?
From a lore perspective, they treat it separate, so I don't see why not.
Iga said, like, I when we interviewed him, he said, like, it's a separate thing. It's not related.
Suda51 talked in front of the first footage of No More Heroes 3, which... What a way to make that just the most perfect.
Suda.
I don't know if I'm going to play
What a way to start.
No More Heroes 3, but like I respect that man so much.
Too.
I think that's so terrific. I know enough about No More Heroes 3 to know that was the first footage and know he was screwing with us. So I think he's doing his job well. Fight Crab is a guaranteed group stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to see Blood get so excited about something.
Yeah.
Just to get his own favorite. I throw racing games at Blood. He doesn't really have opinions or know what I'm talking about. But you get crabs with katanas. Brad, you called the For Honor character so fast in Samurai Showdown. I just am very proud of you. You've been doing your homework. I appreciate it. The Neo Geo Pocket Color selection looks like fun. Not really sure how that. The more information come out about that, like the series of how that's going to work, because it looked like mostly fighting games.
They're just. I mean, there definitely are fighting games, but yeah, that's just. I think there's 3 announced so far. That might be the extent of it. I don't know if the more will come later, but yeah, they're just, very clearly presented Neo Geo Pocket Color games that are coming to Switch.
It's just no way we were going to get Neo Geo Pocket Minis. So they were like, just...
Yeah, probably not.
Micros, like the little Game Gear that's so small you can't play it.
But it's funny to look at it because it's like you see they have the whole like Neo Geo Pocket Color like as a mortise inside of the screen of the Switch. So you're like looking at a controller as you're holding a controller.
Ben spotted Trails of Cold Steel 4 immediately, and also after Idle Manager, which I definitely want somebody to cover or a group stream that, said, I want to review this. Blood, I want to review this.
Yeah.
Hey, and just shout out, again, I have not been, ever since taking over moderating duties and other changes that have happened here at Easy Allies, I admittedly have not been following trailers as much as I should. Damn it, because at Trailer Jones is my Twitter handle. So you'd think I'd watch trailers, but I have not watched enough. But I believe I've watched enough in 2020 to know that Escape from Asura was the worst trailer that we've gotten for a video game in 2020. Brad, you remember Escape from Asura?
No.
It was the person like under the overpass or something.
Oh,
it was like, you were just kind of like flying down, like looking at some grass, and there was like a dude standing there.
But yeah, I guess it is. That sucked.
I think they rented a drone. I think it's like, they were planning before, and it's just like, Susan, do you have an idea for this? It's like, we rented a drone. We're good. You don't need ideas when you have a drone. You can make the trailer. Was that the only shot they have? Like, how many passes did they do of that drone? I wonder what shot they picked. I have a lot of questions about that. New Game Plus Expo wrapped up with Ys 9, Monstrum Nox.
I just watched that entire trailer.
Yeah.
Watch it again. You got time.
It was 11 seconds.
I don't want to rush you. Yeah.
Escape from Asura. What?
I can't tell because previously one of the worst trailers I'd ever seen was for a Pokemon game that literally was just a logo. Like they bothered to render out a 20-second video of a logo, and I'm just like, you can't. That's not. Yeah. You put it on a website, but how dare you make me click a video link for this? But it's just something kind of pure and simple and direct about that. Having a shot, making me wonder who that person is underneath that overpass. Like, I can't tell if that's more insulting. Because there's that moment. It doesn't matter what trailer it is. It doesn't matter if you know the company or whatever. When it cuts to a trailer, and the pan comes out of black. What is this? I want to know. What game is this? What genre is this? I have so many questions.
And then they tell you immediately.
And then it's done. Escape from Asura. And I was like, ugh. Never getting.
To be fair, it says teaser trailer on YouTube. So.
It didn't tease anything.
No.
But the New Game Plus, I thought, had a good pace to it. It was kind of very 99% like direct state of play vibes. Mm-hmm. And I thought they had just a couple of random jokes. Or like, I like it when they do like the 7th inning stretch sometimes when they have people doing voiceover promo stuff for some of these events. Are like, we're about 45 minutes into our presentation. We have other fun things coming up, like this thing here. And you're like, are we in preschool? What is this? Like,
why did you do that?
Do we all get juice boxes now? Like, I'm good. Like, I signed up for this. I can make it. I can potentially go half an hour without a break.
I do think that one was a bit underwhelming. I think
just New Game Plus in general.
Yeah, yeah, the presentation in general. Like, I think that you could have seen bigger things. Sega and Atlas were the headliners for that, and.
Oh, yeah. They just had Catherine for Atlas.
And basically just had Catherine. Yeah. We didn't see Yakuza. We didn't see Persona 5 Scramble. So it just felt like a strange thing for them to be putting that weight behind it. And then you don't really see any payoff of it. You just see a lot of games that, while good, or kind of feel a bit cookie cutter. So.
You're not going to call any of them out, though? Just in general?
Yeah, just in general.
So
I think people that know these genres know what I'm talking about.
Do you think they can turn it around? Are you willing to give New Game Plus Expo a chance in 2021?
Sure. Yeah.
I just am curious. I just want all of these.
Sure. Why the hell not?
I want there to be 40 press conferences next year. We're the new kids. Like they're all back. Nintendo, you weren't here last year. Nintendo's like, get out of here, kid. No, I'm the Future Game Show. Step aside. I love
it. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they did have going for it is that, like, these are primarily Japanese developers.
Right, of
and
course.
so we didn't see, there's not this crossover that some of the other events had.
I just think, for me, again, that kind of speaks to it potentially being outside of my wheelhouse, having no idea what companies are involved in this, and I dug it. There's a lot of stuff on there I was curious about. Also this week, The Last of Us Part 2 came out.
Yeah.
It reviewed pretty well. Sold a lot of copies. Tales of Arise has been delayed beyond 2021. Ooh. We just know it's not happening this year, but we don't know.
Beyond 2021? I thought it was supposed to...
Or beyond 2020, sorry.
Yeah, beyond 2020, yeah.
But we don't
Wishful
know.
thinking, Jones.
But they didn't just say 2021. They just said beyond 2020. Min Min is the character we're getting in Smash Brothers from ARMS. Spoilers. The Avengers War Table happened. MODOK got announced. It was fine. That's about it. There were some other things that they detailed, but I think that was like the one thing that they were holding on to. Wanted another hero, but we got MODOK. Cyberpunk 2077's first Night City Wire was a success. Edge Runner's anime is in production. Mm-hmm. Everybody's getting an anime. The World Ends With You is getting an anime.
Hell yeah.
There's some crazy Pokemon news. My favorite, though, was the one that I tuned in for, was Pokemon Unite, which is Pokemon MOBA, which I'm not asking you to be excited about, but I completely understand why they made it.
Dude, I'd do a round of Snorlax, maybe.
Sure.
But that's probably it.
Ready at Dawn joined the Facebook Oculus Studios, which we've already talked about. But a lot of people were talking about, of course, Order 1886, but they've already done Lone Echo. They've announced that they're working on Lone Echo 2, and there were 2 other demos that came out of their work on Lone Echo, multiplayer stuff that you can check out. All of it exclusive to Oculus, and all of it kicks a lot of ass. It's really, really good.
Sony owns Order? I think they own the IP.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do.
Yeah, not expecting that to be the stuff that they're working on in the future.
Nope.
It just seemed kind of like the whole team was just swimming in VR. They just loved it.
Yeah.
Like, when I would go to those Oculus events. We saw Rogue Legacy 2 gameplay. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Did not make any time at all, just personally, for Rogue Legacy 1, but I will definitely be checking this out. Seems like personalities are like a huge deal this time. Like the characters are very, very different. And it's not just like abilities, it's like definitely represented well in their in their abilities, or in the just the way the characters animate and act. Sam Barlow from Her Story and Telling Lies, which Telling Lies just came out, teased in a tweet his third game called Project Ambrosio.
Oh, interesting. I didn't hear about that.
Might be called Project Ambrosio. 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 Sam Barlow making more games. And John Burton, the founder of Traveler's Tales, once pitched a $1 million Hobbit game that never happened.
Dude.
He eventually went on to do Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Hobbit, so he got to do some work in that arena, but spent $1 million being like, just close your eyes and imagine. They were like, no, next. You're like, but
there was a Hobbit game.
Yeah, there was.
And it was like, I don't remember it being great. Yeah.
I
don't remember.
It was like a Swimming in Sevens for sure.
A long time ago.
It was not based on the films at all. It was
that's right.
Entirely
it was his own
just
thing.
based on the book. Yeah.
You can go find some bad Lord of the Rings games if you want them.
Oh yeah.
I can talk to somebody. We can make that happen for you.
Can you find any good ones though?
But the bad ones specifically, it's a different mood that you might be in. You know, it's like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogy. If you want to watch a good trilogy or bad trilogy, just watch that. Time for Love, Respect.
Love and respect.
Shoe Fighters. Love and respect. Greetings, allies. Most of us have been in a remote work setting for a while now, so it's time to get honest. What percentage of streams have you not been wearing pants? Love and respect. Shoe Fighters. Obviously, it's a joke, but at the same time, I don't know. We're all stuck at home. Is there any secrets? Anything you guys are willing to confess about?
I mean, if I'm in the house, I'm wearing pajama pants.
Right.
Like, I'm not sitting in my house wearing actual pants. But I'm never, not without pants. Not...
Yeah, I've never turned the camera on without pants on.
Yeah.
All right, okay. It doesn't have to be pants, though. It could just be something that maybe the user...
I'm not wearing pants right now, dude.
You got that screen up there. What are you hiding in the back?
Yeah, what are you hiding?
This
screen? Oh.
Yeah, what's going on
He's
back
hiding
there?
his
What
kitchen
the hell are you hiding?
This non-green screen?
You keep waving, you hide your hands
meth
sometimes.
lab back there?
This is my meth. I'm breeding super crocs back here.
Right.
There's some dirty dishes and a dog. There's not much else.
Yeah. Well, the dishes are all clean, Bloodworth.
Oh, good.
I won't say if it was Animal Crossing or if it was the podcast or if it was a reaction stream, but I have muted a couple farts. That's all I'm saying. Just a couple. Just out of respect. You know what I mean?
Thank
so
you.
there's sometimes
Ian disappeared because
maybe
of that statement.
Maybe it's AC, maybe it's...
Did I? You're
I don't know.
a gassy boy,
Jones, I'd rather you do that than pull a Huber.
But if we're muted and we're see that's again, it's a silver lining. You know, we kind of look at the positives of
Jones. I think that's
separated.
a courteous move.
That's very courteous.
A true gentleman.
In fact, you didn't even have to mention it.
Welcome to the podcast. Mute myself for a second. Brandon K. Gann. Hello, everyone. This week brought the previews for Cyberpunk 2077, and it's been nothing short of overwhelmingly impressive. So much so, my fears of the game having too much have been confirmed. So I want to ask the panel, in your respective opinions, how much is too much in terms of world size or content amount to when it comes to games? What is your personal threshold in investing however many hours into a given game? Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for Cyberpunk, but I'm worried it might overload my circuits with choice, causing paralysis by analysis. Thank you very much for taking my question, and if you do, stay easy, fellow allies. Too big?
To me, it's always a question of quality and quantity. Like, if the quantity goes up and quality goes down, that's too much. If you can have infinite quantity, if the quality is good, then it's fine. That to me is the only, because, like, I've quit games that are 8 hours long because I wasn't enjoying them. Like, it's just, do I enjoy it or not? Not like how much stuff is there to do, because I don't feel pressure to do everything. So, yeah. But if it's all bad because there's so much of it, then all of it is too much.
Yeah, because I think I forget who it was that from the impressions today, I think somebody had said something like, it is overwhelming, but it's still but it's good. Like, forget exactly.
I know Alana said that you can talk to everyone, but most people just say like a couple of little things.
Oh,
the branching dialogue tree or something. Yeah. To me, like, Cyberpunk will stand or fall on its world and how consistent it is. And, like, to me, I think for that to work, you have to have a lot of stuff going on, and you have to have a lot of intricacy just to simulate a realistic world, because the real world is intricate. But yeah, who knows if it's all of a high quality or not. I assume it is.
Faith based off their previous work. They just seem to get like way better every new game they make.
And they learn.
Like, dude, Witcher 1 to 2 to 3 are like insane leaps in quality.
Yeah.
And I mean, what we saw today of Cyberpunk, it's looking good.
It's looking like good.
Usually
it's
when I
easily
see
looking
a game,
better than Witcher 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Usually when I see video games, I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, there are some things in this weird little things that I was like, that looks good. That's impressive. Yeah.
Sean Layden was interviewed this week and said he would like to see smaller games, and I've actually seen some pieces also written about that this week.
Sure.
Is that a trend we want? Are there any franchises that you'd be like, no, not that franchise? Or
well, he was specifically talking about AAA.
Right.
AAA should go back into focusing on things that are 12 to 15 hour long, which I think is a good length, honestly. Like,
sure.
It's not like saying I think games should be 6 to 8 hours, and because I feel like a lot of people feel like they're a little bit ripped off when games are that short. But I think 15 is probably a good sweet spot. And like, I've honestly bounced off of Assassin's Creed just because they've made those games so gigantic now that I just don't see myself doing this every other year.
Yeah, like 5 to 10 hours for me is that check-in of like, how long's this game? And it's like, oh, there's another 30 hours of this. Like, but that's usually around the time when I want to check out. That was me in Persona 5. I was like, how long is this? I'm enjoying this, but I don't know if I, take what I just did, multiply it by 10. Like,
There was a funny moment when I was playing Last of Us, and I was like, boy, how long have we been doing this? Like, and then I saw the game clock was like half as long as I thought it was.
It's like the South Park moment with Cartman where he's like trying to sleep, and it's just like a minute has passed. And he's like, come on.
It's like, oh god.
But yeah, it's interesting and interesting with, budgets going up, new consoles about to be sold, if that's going to be a trend, if especially with Sony and Layden saying that, with now you see Miles Morales and potentially other franchises like trying to jump out at the end of this gen as opposed to making something big for next gen.
Especially if the price is lower. I think you can get away with that much easier. Yeah. Like, I don't expect this Miles Morales game to be 60. I don't expect it to be, but it could be. I'm thinking it's gonna be like 40. I think that's how much Lost Legacy was.
Legacy? I think that was 40.
And I think I've seen a lot of people reporting, just we're talking about, which I knew, but the percentages of people actually completing most games are very, very low.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't finish any game that they play.
Yeah.
Or a lot of the big franchises that you hear of.
The other upside to
trophy
shorter
lists are skinny.
The other upside to shorter games like that I really like is it allows, I think, some of these bigger studios to get a little more experimental and do like weirder stuff, because it's like, oh, here's a little 8-hour game and we were trying some bizarro mechanic, or like this was an experiment that we were trying for this other game, didn't work for that, but we had fun with it, so here's this. I really like stuff like that.
I mean, some games, like the story they're telling or the gameplay there, it doesn't need to be longer than 6 to 8 hours. Like it becomes a bummer when you're playing something and it feels like it's really dragging out just to hit a certain hour clock time in. So yeah, I'm all for it.
There's a really funny, not really an analog to this, but in films, in indie films, like some like B tier, C tier films, when like the credits are 12 minutes long just to hit 70 or 90 minutes to like qualify as a feature film. It's a funny thing that they do.
It is time for bets. Next week's bet involves Borderlands 3 Bounty of Blood. The DLC launches today, actually, and today meaning Thursday is when we record this podcast.
Yeah.
What I would like to know... Yeah, later,
Did you turn into a soccer ball? What are you?
Yeah.
That's the symbol for the snap camera.
Okay.
You broke it.
There he is. What I want to know is how many times will the official Borderlands Twitter account tweet before we record the next podcast? I'm going to look at Friday, so not today, not the 25th. I'm going to start my counting of tweets on Friday, the 26th of June, and then we'll stop counting as close to the next recording of the podcast as possible.
This doesn't, you said, doesn't include likes and like retweets and
This
replies.
does not include replies or likes or retweets.
Okay.
Original
and for
content.
reference, there were 11 tweets in the last week. So that's what you can, again, DLC launches today, 11 tweets in the last week. Ian, how many tweets?
12.
Brad, how many tweets?
11.
Blood?
I went 14.
Oh, crap.
13. Wow, we all
Oh,
picked
my
different
God.
things.
11, 12, 13, 14.
Yes, I got the high end.
Fascinating, yeah.
Our team's got the low end.
We will see. Exactly. Dun dun dun. Locking those in. Last week's bet, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom came out this week. I went to opencritic.com. I looked at the last 10 reviews. How many times did I see the word pineapple? I bet 1. Daniel Bloodworth bet 4. Ian Hink bet 12. Brad Ellis bet 3. Michael Huber bet 2. None. There were none. Nobody did pineapple. Nobody went for it. There were 2 reviews that I skipped because one was in French and one was in Arabic. I'm not sure. They were in languages that I had to translate. That seemed disingenuous. I have not experienced other language reviews going through this process. So
did you then extend it to the next 2 English ones?
Yes, it was basically number 11 and number 12 that I went to. And I'm not sure if this is prudent or not, but those reviews were ZTGD, Player 2, Well Played, Rapid Reviews, But Why Though podcast, Cog Connected, GameSpace, Entertainium, GameBite, and Noob Feed. Had to get Noob Feed in there. I was kind of glad.
Absolutely.
I could extend one more and be like, get in there, Noob Feed. But across the board, you look at those reviews. Because I realize, I think this is... I do enjoy these types of bets, but these are potentially disingenuous because I just show up and tell you, and you aren't going to do. Not only would you not want to take the time to do the research to correct me, you don't know what reviews I referenced. So there we go. It was the
got it.
SpongeBob SquarePants reviews.
Now you've introduced the seed of doubt that you're not trustworthy, though. So now we'll have to all do our homework.
It's going to be a roller coaster.
Well, no, it wouldn't be us doing the homework. It would be the audience.
Yeah.
They would call them out. Yeah.
They'll do it.
And our audience has definitely done the homework.
No, the audience does the homework,
in the past.
Check.
But I think I got that bet right, and I think I got the scores right. Currently, we are at Jovial Penguins 4.
Oswald Coppelpot.
I'm gonna be the mayor.
Astonished Scorpions 4. We're back. See, we're even. That's better, Blood. That's where we want to be. Get one of those wins in there. You were at the top too, so if there's just a lot of, I just imagine you can see, Blood just throughout next week, like check, and it's like he follows, give me alerts every time Borderlands tweets. Like yes. Yes.
I don't think this is what I'm going to be following that closely.
We're up to 22, gentlemen. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. I work with Daniel Bloodworth, and Daniel Bloodworth is very, very honest with me. Daniel Bloodworth and I are working hard to make sure Easy Allies is the best it can be. The Easy Allies podcast is the best that it can be, and I was not at my best last week. Blood messaged me and he said that was poor, quite frankly. Your explanation of patreon.com/easyallies. You were all over the place. You were talking about this show. You were talking about this tier. You want to be specific. I'll be as direct as I possibly can with you, listeners. We are Easy Allies. At patreon.com/easyallies, you can go and see other stuff that we do and support us financially. We do get money from other sources, but primarily we are supported via Patreon. There are lots of tiers there where if you give us certain amounts of money, you will get certain things early, you will get access to certain things, and it is a fun place to go and learn about the Easy Allies. Because I don't want to slack. Like there's some episodes I feel like I do some things better than other things.
I like your tactic now is just to cover all bases by being not specific at all. You say you get certain things for certain things. Patreon.
Because, I had Huber say he had no idea what I was talking about the other day on the podcast. Sometimes I'll get stuff corrected that I'm surprised about. And I just want to make sure everybody's heard. But if I disappoint Bloodworth, especially in this way, it sticks.
And we all
really
hear
feels
about
bad.
it.
Yeah. Well, we might not. I might have done a really good job just there, in which case you wouldn't hear about it the next week. What you will hear about, most likely next week, however, is our shout-out tier. There's only 4 of us, so it's not going to be that complicated. Ian, I'm going after you. Blood, you're going after me. And Brad, you're wrapping up last but not least. Remember, we don't need to shout. You can just do a whisper for shout-out. Because I see a lot of people get close to the microphone and then get really loud. So you can be gentle. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is our shout-out tier at patreon.com/easyallies. Speaking of. And at that tier are Blue, Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, and a sponsorship for Black Lives Matter. Shout out. Oh, sorry. I know it was me. That was me. I got it in my head. Okay.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
That was what I deserved, I think. The setup that I did for that. I think that's the shout out that I deserved. Thank you so much for being at that tier. Why, Brandon Jones, you won the bet.
Who's that?
That's me.
Oh.
I won the bet. I bet 1, but that was the closest to 0. I get to promote any Easy Allies video I'd like to promote. I get the final word on anything I disagree with, want to reiterate, or just popped into my head, and I get to sign off with my.
You also got to look at Ian real quick.
Sign off.
Look over here.
Below the neck.
My eyes are down here, Jones.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was gonna be a new filter. I was like, yeah, what's that crazy Easy Ally shirt filter you got there?
Oh, why? Take a look, everyone. I'll stand up because it's way darker in here. Uh-oh.
Oh God.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
It's a good teaser image though, with it just kind of slowly
fading in and out. And it says Easy Allies on the back if it doesn't disappear.
No, we got it. Yeah.
This is a shirt designed by Stephen Purfoy at our behest. That is the first of our offerings from Roost Merch.
And for people listening, it's big yellow letters, and there's a robot in front.
An
awesome. Easy Allies mech robot, you could say, or various interests and talents.
Yeah, you can't
together.
really see them in the feed, but there are a lot of cool little Easter eggs in there.
If Easy Allies had to save the world, this is how we would do it.
So you can get your hands on these shirts July 21st at 10 a.m. Remember that date because that'll also be the date, because of the way the deal works, that our current merchandise store will close. So if you want to buy Spreadshirt stuff, do it now. The next month, whatever. We're giving you a month's lead time, about. A little shy, a couple of days shy. But July 21st is when it's going to hit the Roost merch store. We will have links to that in the future. I don't know what that is right now. But yeah.
And Amanda will be so excited because she has been wanting to wear these shirts on her streams and stuff.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like, can I yet wear the shirt? I'm like, no, not. Finally make that announcement. Yes, and hopefully that will lead to more merch opportunities in the future. Yay! Now I get to end the podcast. I'm not going to worry about my Twitter account though, because I did actually squeeze it in another part of the show.
I noticed that.
Too smooth.
I'm going to say I was on the latest episode of Frame Trap, and I got to talk about Desperados 3, which I very much wanted to review, but did not get a chance to review that. And so thank you to Mr. Ben Moore for having me on Frame Trap. I very much like talking about it. I wish I could bring more games. I talked about Animal Crossing again, but didn't necessarily get a chance. And I just want to. I love these events that we're getting. Blood. It's like when we plan E3 and then put on E3. Not like that we put on all of E3, but like our coverage of E3. I've never been on this the end of June. I've never been in this frame of mind where there's so many different games that I know about now. And yes, there are a lot of AAA stuff that I'm excited about, and yes, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about next gen and fun games that got announced, but it really is a lot of these smaller projects that have kind of captivated me. And so I want to see all of these various shows, Guerrilla Collect and everybody, to come back and challenge some of the press conferences we've seen of late, that have possibly grown complacent, or like Nintendo didn't even show up at all this June, and give them a run for their money. And keep shining a light on fun indie developers. I greatly dug it. Cheers.
I just expect this game to be really bonkers. And I think that's going to make up for a lot of stuff.
The Easy Allies would like to thank our Patreon podcast producers. We apologize in advance for all the ally names we are about to misspell and mispronounce. Blue, Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Black Lives Matter, Walker Hope, Nick, Mark Dalga, Will Schmuck, Jan Tyson, Bradley Spees, Dave Red, Richard G. Flowers, Paolo Costabel, Jay Shee, Zachary Wingate, Roy Sung, Sigma, Robert Stoffel, Thomas Wigginton Jr., Discarded Digit, Ali Cat, Damnable Nook, Andrew Reif, Happy Gaming, Miguel Rivas, Valmar, Blue Water Blue Sky, Daniel Portillo, Jose Gutierrez, Alex AI, Rob Bob Will, Beaten Down Brian, Chum Nguyen, Hayden Hargraves, James Vest, Matthew Pauling, G. Levin, David Wen, G. Ken, Gary James, The Banana Forklift Killer, Marcel Markov, Catherine Lai, Todd Yurkovic, Stephen Last, Candy Coated Thorns, Hitman 47, Rack, DRD 7 of 14, Matthew Holcomb, Oni Blackmage, Joachim Morovuo, John Santoro, Niz Klojgard, Jesper Lawson, Jordan Kirk, James Vitt, Sam Handrick, Stephen Thomason, Robert Crouch, Luke Bennett, Andy Drew, Neuromood, John Burns, S-Snake24, Mango, Richard Johnston, Mark J. Betters II, Steve Fallon, Adam Henry, Tim O'Keefe, Ethereal Ether, Brad Grenz, Matthew Eden, Andrew Stoke, Thor Mangus, Jake Musser. Accounts Payable, Jeffrey Ruchtenwald, Mikhail Aniel, Corey Jackson, Wavering Radiant, Ritz 1906, Noah Weinstein, V8 Dave, Christian Hundorf, Eric Gustafson, Paul Sway, Ulf himself, iSun Chor, Christopher Santis, Strikeout NZ, Sandra and Richard Acero, David Boyarsky, Faraz Rizvi, Pete Shoemaker, Reed Johnson, Manuel Thomas, Michelle Nubb, Mikey Mizek Novak, Alex Monaco, Paul Bishop, Modren, Zintrax, Marco Hernandez, Daniel Wong, Zoostick, V. Kira Ray, Don Turner, Sebastian Urban, Eddie Reisner, Sebastian Trier, Adam Sharonbrock, Evan Eng, Raymond Chow, Azazel Valkyrie, Junya Motomura, Ivan Ponce, Tuttle, Bjarnor Haraldsvik, Egg Stravaganza, Joshua Van Swal, Stephen Walther, Tense George, Colin Hoylman, Barry, Cyberboa, Forrest, Eric Maynard, Chase Caldwell, Leon Keys, Chris the Pianist, Ian Anderson, Philip Higdon, Nycrypt, Jai Aldiar, Robert I, C.S. Lewis, Ahmed Al-Rashed, Bonnie and Jason Connor, Jock, Travis Miosi, Mike Calvi, Alex Glass, The Fatty Show, Neo Bear, Danpan16, Wouter DeHaze, Malcolm Mochette, William Heaney, Not Jack, Mither Strongbeard, Jana, Anthony Galvin, Pulkin Stirs and Stirs, Orugachino, Dakota Hayes, The Classiest Hobo, Masuki211, Matt Karwoski, Liam Ahern, Jason Joint, Bunny Chen, David Kennedy, Materia Addict, Arthur Henrique Chinaglia, Culinary Stud, Nuno Amaral, Magnus Rasmussen, Edison S. Prada Jr., Tim Mann, Sean Rowe, Haley Hill, Crediar, Mauricio Fuentes, Jesse Fish, Gabriel Aberg, Zahid Hosseini Karami, Luis Ibarra, Lee Young, Alexander Zarianov, Morpheus, Brian Foster, Delisi, Sean Cornett, Linson Wu, General Piet, Zio VGM, Matthew Migler, Andrew Smith, Brandon White, Christoph Fatui, A Pack of Puppies, Michael Clendenan, Wen Boshan, Hadi Ali, Aurelien Grenier, Trevor Thomas, Michael Kozachenko, Awesome Express, Adam Lindsay, Corey Landega, Pablo Rodriguez, Alec Church, Ibrahim Sozer, Faber Gundam, Mike Hook 1, Carl Williams, Gustav Strombaum, Volker Bach, Russell Bateman, Lindsay Wells, Jason I, Rickard Enbaum, Nefertiti Jenkins, Tyler Wallace, Joe Rutsky, Kyle Quintero, Jesse Vitelli, Jonathan and Amy Alconis, Quinn Riley, JC3, Jack Cullen, Paul Nolson, Isaac Swanson, Jameson Lapine, Max His Shame Turman, Jethrin, Bread Roll Art, Matt Ford, Joey Din, Splontot, Jordan Phillips, Ryan Wagner, Matthias Clare, Spencer Stevens, Jeffrey Murillo, Kevin Camposano, Trizac, Matt Ferguson, Jake in Japan, Sam Sorensen, Vincent Foliot, Michael Baloney, Michael Pliskin, Andy Marks, Tim Strothman, XWF Outlaw, Julius Garcia, Alex Lavanier, Gon Kef, Joel Short, Dimitri Zetas, Mazrim Tame, Ganzak 009, Helen Y, Jameson Anderson, Daniel Fuchs, Travis Kikowski, Megadet, Sneaky Gato, Blake Bonsack, W. Crusher, Lion Crown 19, Tom Masterman, Jojo Denko, ZK, Jose Carlos Madrigal, Mr. Anarchy, Thomas Blaze Fauchereau, Andreas Risberg, Anti-Ataraxia, Dreams of Caffeine, Michael Bisegli, Matthew Holmes, Alexander McEachern, Raymond Lee, Lars Berger, Marcel Giru 17 Froelich, Don Lee, Erdney Kutnow, Megan McDonough, Rainier Dennis Bautista, Ricky Cass, Glenn Olson, Natabia Ross, Allison Burt, Ryan Anderson, Jesse Wilkeson, Katie Garza, Dan Sebring, James Davey, Neil Bruce, Silent Consonant, Craig Happ, Travis Ing, Cody Wesley, Cisco Ace Jackson Garcia, Kroldemort, Jeremy Ferris, Clay Roberts, Nathaniel Austin, Super 3D Cow, Ahab, Malienware, Mick Roper.